the Seventh Ray by the Ascended Master Saint Germain. Color. The different vibratory action of the various colors is a subject in itself. Suffice it to say that the colored spheres that surround the presence and form the spiritual aura or causal body are representative of the natural color vibration of the seven spheres. Each life stream on the planet has proceeded from one particular ray, and his archetype or presence dwells in the particular sphere to which he belongs. It must be understood, however, that this individualized presence is not confined to any sphere, but may visit any one of them at will. The unascended life stream will respond most favorably to the color which is representative of his particular ray. If he is in doubt as to the ray or sphere to which he belongs, he may, through contemplation of his habits and tendencies and through meditation on his own presence, arrive at the correct position his life stream holds by right in God's kingdom. He will also find that he is almost irresistibly drawn to a certain color, which may be taken as an added confirmation of his ray and sphere. As the outpouring from the Godhead emphasizes the color and ray of each successive sphere in the course of the 7 days of the week, when the individual knows the ray to which he belongs, he will usually find his vital forces more stimulated on the day when the color and radiation of his ray and sphere are honored by the cosmic light. The vestments which are to be incorporated into the rituals of the future will be designed to emphasize these particular daily outpourings, as well as any specific power or activity of the sacred fire which is being utilized for the benefit of the race through a particular service in the temples and groups. The seven spheres. Considering the Godhead as a sun, there are, surrounding and enfolding this central focus of intelligence, 7 mighty spheres of consciousness, each one separated from the other by its own periphery line, which forms the natural boundary of that particular sphere. These 7 spheres are the aura of God, each one inhabited by great God intelligences, all intent on doing the Father's will, expanding his kingdom and his consciousness. The development and unfoldment of his kingdom is accomplished by the rhythmic release of pulsating waves of his own divine consciousness, within which are the spiritual germs of all form and manifestation, from the smallest blade of grass to the most brilliant star with its cosmic tone. As these God ideas pass from sphere to sphere in ever-widening circles, they are absorbed by the beings and intelligences within each one, their shining glory modified by the vibratory action of the natural elements within that sphere. They then pass outward on their course to the next sphere and the next, ever journeying onward toward manifestation in the world of form. Their glory mercifully dimmed to a point where the beings of the next sphere can best absorb their blessings. A constant modification of the God light, a constant clothing of the God consciousness, is achieved in each sphere, so that God's ideas become embodied in the electronic substance of each sphere in orderly sequence, and eventually reach the 7th sphere or etheric realm, where they await precipitation into the physical world of form. The first sphere represents the heart of creation itself. The great beings who form the directive intelligence of this sphere are known as the Manus of the human race. The master who activates their will in the world of man is called the Chohan of the first ray, El Moira. It is his service to life to carry the God ideas and directives from the Godhead into the minds of those beings in the second sphere who clothe them in actual workable form. In this first sphere also abide the 7 mighty archangels who have volunteered to guard and protect the evolving human race. Here in this first sphere is born every idea, design, plan, and blessing which will one day manifest in the physical world. Its inhabitants are beings whose service to life is to embody these God ideas and carry them on their outward course to the periphery of the first sphere, and here entrust them to the waiting messengers of the second sphere. What finite mind could conceive of the beauty, the perfection, the joy and happiness of these ideas? Here live the cherubic and seraphic hosts, messengers of the Most High, bathing in the fire of creation, embodying its essence in their very selves, and then beginning the great cosmic ritual of cosmic precipitation of the blessings of heaven from realm to realm, which will take them in time to the furthest borders of the kingdom and the periphery of the 7th sphere. Containing the purest essence of divinity within their shining selves, they swing outward in their cosmic course, carrying the light of heaven into the consciousness of the beings in the 2nd sphere. The celestial inhabitants of the 2nd sphere most lovingly receive the cosmic messengers and the ideas from God's heart, assimilate them, clothe them in the substance of their own great light and the universal light substance which forms the atmosphere of this sphere, and then in turn pass them onward to the receptive consciousness and atmosphere of the 3rd realm. In this 2nd sphere, the God ideas and patterns of future greatness are molded into form through the use of the creative powers of the higher mind force. Thus, the seed of the Father falls on fertile ground, intelligent, individual consciousness, and begins to take definite form in the world of divine thought. The God intelligence who governs this 2nd sphere is the Lord Buddha, who together with his great brother, Lord Maitreya, interpret the God ideas from the 1st sphere through the formulation of world religions and faiths. Their representative, the Chohan of the 2nd ray, Kutumi, further consolidates their cosmic service through the educational channels both of the inner spheres and the physical appearance world as well. So great is the wealth of the Father's outpouring that this essence must be ever rushing onward, clothed in intelligent thought patterns, desiring always to give of itself in rhythmic blessings. Thus the 3rd sphere is alerted to receive of the divine outpouring. In the 3rd sphere, the glory and radiance of the 2nd sphere has already clothed the divine eminence in thought patterns, so that it is better assimilated by the vibrating consciousness of this realm. These God ideas are ensouled with life and become living, pulsating foci of things to come. This is the realm of the Holy Spirit, under the direction of that great cosmic representative of the 3rd person of the Trinity, whom we know by the title of Mahachohan. In this 3rd sphere, life essence is imparted to the thought forms descending from the 1st and 2nd spheres. Until thought is clothed with the life through the feeling nature, it does not become a living, vital force so far as expression in the 3rd dimensional world is concerned. Thus, the 3rd sphere vitalizes all manifestations which will ever externalize on the planet Earth. The activity of the 3rd sphere, like the prism, divides the spiritual rays through which flows the life which makes thoughts become things, actualized, and the radiation and gifts of the 3rd ray proceed through the 5 subdivisions of this great ray into the world of form. The great Chohans of these 5 rays, therefore, work under the supervision of their overlord, the Maha Chohan. The first subdivision of the 3rd ray is under the direction of the Chohan known as Paul the Venetian. His cosmic service to life is to receive the blueprints or divine thought forms which contain within themselves world movements as well as simple individual blessings for the human race, and dividing them as to their subject matter and potential service to life, he gives them to the Chohans in charge of the dispensation of those specific activities. These Chohans, in turn, project them from their spheres of activity into the world of form through conscious or unconscious chelas who are open to their cosmic impressions and influence. Thus, the Venetian becomes the outpost of the Maha Chohan, and the step-down transformer of his energies so far as channeling the blessings of God through the proper facets in the world of the real. A group of beings from the 3rd sphere joins the cherubic and seraphic hosts as they prepare to pass outward with the living embodied thought forms into the 4th sphere of conscious life. Again, a great diffusion of spiritual effulgence, a richer radiation through the atmosphere of the sphere of visitation. The divine ideas pulsate through the electronic substance and are absorbed by any receptive consciousness within the 4th sphere to develop as it wills. The great Chohan of the 4th sphere is known as the Master Serapis Bey. The developed thought forms of the 1st and 2nd spheres, endowed with life of the Holy Spirit in the 3rd sphere, find their first point of contact with the individual consciousness of unascended beings in this realm. The far greater majority of divine archetypes, presences, dwell within this 4th realm. Here the God ideas, patterns, and designs are received by these Christ egos, developed by them through centuries of endeavor, and are projected by them into the world of men through their own physical personalities or through advanced pupils functioning in lines of endeavor similar to those being developed and perfected with this realm. Those ideas not ensouled by conscious intelligence in the 4th realm pass onward, carried by the seraphic and cherubic hosts and the escort of honor from the 4th realm into the consciousness of the waiting beings of the 5th realm. Within the 5th realm, the seed of the Father, particularly in connection with scientific discoveries, inventions, and medical research, is scattered and received by the receptive consciousnesses of those engaged in this endeavor in the temples of science that are active within this sphere, and from these temples are directed into the minds and hearts of those selfless men and women who are working along these avenues of expression on earth. The great Chohan of the 5th realm is known as the Master Hilarion. He was St. Paul of biblical days. As the 5th sphere pulsates with the essence of godliness, we see that the blessings are no whit lessened, and that even as we watch, the glorious energies await transmission into the 6th sphere to widen their circle of manifest expression. Within the 6th sphere we find the causative centers of the Christian religion, wherein devotional and emotional worship are the particular fount through which the spiritual energies are being released to bless the human race. Here, in the highest heaven of orthodox thought, dwell the great celestial choirs. From this beautiful sphere flows the inspiration to those men and women who have responded to the high calling of religious leaders and who are leading their sheep to the best of their ability. The great Chohan of the 6th sphere is the Master Jesus, and through the beautiful temple services, both he and his mother Mary bathe the Christian world, the divas who guard and protect the beautiful churches erected in his name, and all who have accepted the Christ in the spiritual essence of their divine Christhood. As the cherubic and seraphic hosts make ready to bring the blessings of the Father into the 7th realm, we realize that this is by natural destiny the periphery of the kingdom, and that the third dimensional world of today has sunk below this boundary line of safety. It is to the seventh realm and its Chohan, my humble self, that we must look for the first point of contact between the outer consciousness and the divine patterns of the will of God and His messengers. The seventh sphere holds within itself the etheric pattern of every manifestation of the God plan, which has been lowered rhythmically through the 6 preceding spheres and which awaits expression in physical form. It is the first sphere above the human octave of limitation and imperfection into which the soul ascends on its journey back to the heart of God. It is therefore the office and responsibility of the Chohan of the seventh ray to provide a way and means by which mankind may again unite its consciousness with the inner spheres and become individual conductors of the divine perfection from these spheres through the consciousness of the outer self. The Ascended Masters have said repeatedly that this realm is literally bursting with all the good things that have been handed down from one sphere to another. Because of the resistance and refusal of the outer consciousness of man to accept the divine plan of God, the etheric realm has not been able to pass on the blessings and glories that have descended from the higher spheres, and thus complete the outgoing rhythm of creative endeavor. Any member of the human family may offer his consciousness again to me and ask that his individual self may be an outlet for the blessings and perfection contained within my realm. Every man, woman, and child that lives on the earth today, or who will come here in the future, has a divine presence, a God pattern, an archetype that dwells in one of the foregoing 7 spheres. Each such incarnate life stream is meant to be a radiating center of the spiritual force from the inner sphere where his presence dwells. He must understand that his own higher self is actually living and serving life in one of these spheres, developing certain God designs picked up by his higher consciousness, which designs await the receptivity of the outer mind in order to find expression in the world of form. The present characteristics of the individual, no matter how poorly developed, are indicative of the ray and sphere to which he rightfully belongs, and as the individual purifies his own world, he will raise the vibratory action of his ray to its most powerful and perfect expression through his personal self, and also become a radiating center of the spiritual force from the sphere in which his presence dwells, and which has a beneficent effect upon all life around him.